Welcome to Beating Cancer Daily. Beating stage 4 cancer for 30 years still takes my breath away every time I say it. I'm Saranne, founder of the Comedy Cures Foundation, and I hope you'll join me for just a few minutes daily for the next 365 days so we may laugh, learn, maybe cry a little as we live our best days beating cancer daily together. So it's not often on Beating Cancer Daily that we do two-parters. It has happened in the past in the many hundreds of episodes, but today we have something that I might consider a two-parter. And we're really talking about your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. And the last episode on Friday with Jacqui was about social jet lag. And today I'm excited because she's going to talk about how to eat for your personal internal clock. So I want to welcome back to Beating Cancer Daily our functional medicine expert, certified nutrition specialist, whole health educator, certified health coach, and RN, Jacqui Bryan.
Hey, Saranne, thanks for having me. It's nice to be back for our play date.
It is. And this is cool because if you have not heard the social jet lag episode, you really should listen to it because this is going to match to it really well.
Didn't we kind of brainstorm in the social jet lag podcast, this podcast, the Chrononutrition, which is what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, we did say a little advance. Don't forget to check out next week with Jacqui because we were going to do a part 2. It's exciting. It's like brother and sister.
I know, and I think it probably sounded like we had planned it, but it really just came like that idea just came to us right at that moment, which was fun.
I just remember growing up with people saying, eat your 3 meals a day. And then all of a sudden they said to me, you have low blood sugar, eat 5 small meals a day. And now you're coming with a very different approach.
Well, it's funny you said that about the 3 square meals a day because I actually was raised with this sort of statement, which is, eat your breakfast like a king, have your lunch like a prince, and your dinner like a pauper. And thinking in terms of portion sizes, that's really what that pertains to. And it actually really aligns nicely with our topic today because we're going to be focusing in on chrononutrition, which is exploring the way that we can eat to match our circadian rhythm. And hopefully, people are going to walk away with some nice strategies to implement this fairly easy technique into their life that can improve their health.
And when we were speaking before, you were telling me that you actually found studies, and we always try to do science backed information here on Beating Cancer Daily. So, for the people who love their research, Jacqui got research.
I looked at 3 different studies about chrononutrition, and I think, it's helpful for us to understand even what it is. If you listen to the Social Jet Lag podcast, this will probably make maybe even a little bit more sense, but we'll just do a quick overview so people really understand what we're talking about. And chrononutrition is also known as time restricted eating. It's a little bit different than fasting, right? We're not talking about fasting, we're talking about time restricted eating. And it really looks at how the timing of your meals can affect your metabolism, which is a key word for so many people, but also your body's circadian rhythm. And as Saranne mentioned, that's your internal clock. It regulates all your key biological functions, things like your sleep, your temperature, your mental alertness, has a huge impact on health.
Jacqui, there's so much humor about metabolism. It's like a great source of comedy. And there's a man and a woman at a table having a meal, and the woman says to the man, this will never work out. Your metabolism is much faster than mine.
It's so funny. And you know what? It's really true.
So I'm just thinking about for the people who are in partnerships, and if you're eating for your clock, Mark has such a different clock that I do. How do we sync up and ever have a meal together?
It's really funny because my husband, I think he can sneeze and lose 5 pounds. I think it's so annoying. Like if I gain a few pounds, it's a couple weeks of just, hardcore get back on track, with my eating and exercise. But for him, it's like, oh, I need to lose a couple pounds, and then like by day two, he's, back to normal. It's so irritating.
But this is real. If we're eating for our internal clock, how do we match up with our partner? I can't wait to hear how this goes.
Wait, is that part three, Saranne? Maybe we need
Exactly. How to not get divorced because your internal clocks are different.
I think it's so funny because it's challenging enough to take care of your health, right? But it's even more challenging to be in a partnership with somebody. And you know what? I actually think that would be a really good podcast. How do you take care of your health when maybe your partner has different, circadian rhythm or different type of needs? And I'm so blessed because, I've been married to this wonderful person for 25 years. And if you're listening, honey, hi. But but I've been married for 25 years to this great guy, and we eat the same. We kind of go to bed. He stays up a little later than I do, but we have a very similar rhythm. And I do think that as you grow closer together, we've been together almost 30 years, that you start behaving in similar ways, or at least we do. And one of the things that I know for sure is that when they've done testing of individuals, their bacteria on their body, I know this is a little gross and maybe digressing a little bit, but you actually start sharing the same bacteria with your partner over time. And so it's just an interesting study, right? Because we know that that microbiome plays a big role in mood regulation and immune health and, inflammation, all the things that we really care about when we want to feel good. So you want to have a healthy partner so you're going to get all their good bugs.
I was just going to say, are you going to say mucus again? Because
Not going to go the
I
mucus
thought you
route.
were going to go the mucus route. But I think that would be a great episode. And since they're over 400 and what, 12 episodes or more, we're getting towards 420 episodes of Beating Cancer Daily. That does sound like a great episode that we should do.
I
And
think it's a good one because we don't exist solely alone, right? We exist around other people, and whether it's a partner or you've got a friend that you live with, or, even if you go out and socialize with people, I think it's helpful to understand, how do I stay the course with my plan with all this outside noise coming in, right? I mean, how do we do this?
so our homes may get picketed by a caregiver who has multiple children, a husband, and maybe the in laws living there. And this man or woman is in the kitchen, and everybody's internal clock is on their t shirt. And she has to feed, or he has to feed each family member according to their internal clock. We might get picketed.
I know that would be really, really, really challenging for sure. I think meeting the needs of other individuals is a challenge. And I find, and I don't know about you, but as the woman in our house, I am often the one that is making sure everybody else is healthy. And I do have to fight for myself a little bit to make sure that I have the time for myself. And eating in sync with my natural rhythm isn't always easy, but I really do make an effort to do it because I know that even this chrononutrition that we're talking about today, it will help with my metabolism. It does help with blood pressure, blood sugar control. It helps with weight management. I mean, it plays a huge role. And I think, the purpose of today was to build on that social jet lag conversation that we had last week, which was just to align our eating with our circadian rhythm, that inner clock, and how that will help improve our health. And as a 22-year breast cancer survivor, you 32 years, we're constantly striving to find ways to improve our health and reduce the risk of cancer recurrence and other chronic diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure and autoimmune conditions, all those things that we're concerned about.
I just want to talk for a second about a cancer diagnosis because I can't think of anything more disruptive to our lives than getting thrown into the cancer ecosystem. You're getting scans, you're getting IVs, you're waiting for doctors, you're just sitting in waiting rooms. Everybody's delayed, there's traffic. So I think this is super important, especially for our listeners who are in the middle of all of this treatment. As Jackie said, I've been in and out of the system for decades. And as a stage 4 survivor, I can remember very clearly back to just how disruptive it was to my eating and how important it was to me that I get really good nutrition, because we all know that, that can help while you're going through treatment. That can help just stabilize the control that you need to feel at times in your life as you're going through treatment, because everything is so out of control. So if you can regulate your meals, it is so good for you, as Jackie's saying, but there's also some empowerment in that I want to get across.
Yeah, that's so important, Saranne. I mean, it's like a train that's just running into a wall. Like you feel like you just can't stop it. And if we can take control back in some way of some of our lifestyle choices, it can make a difference. And all those treatments, the surgeries, the chemotherapy, the radiation, the immunotherapy, the hormone therapy, that definitely challenges our circadian rhythm, right? You might not be sleeping because of the steroids. You might not be active because of the pain from surgery. You might gain weight from going into menopause early. I mean, there's so many different disruptions that can happen. So I think it's helpful for us to talk about what does it mean to eat in line with your circadian rhythm. And that's what chrononutrition is all about. One strategy that's really beneficial is shortening the window of time when you eat each day. And what that means, like an example would be, say you typically have breakfast at 7 and then you don't eat dinner until maybe 8 o'clock at night. You could actually aim to reduce that eating window to, say, like a 13-hour window or even a 10 or 11-hour window. Something that I do is I usually eat breakfast by 7 in the morning, but then my last meal's at 6. So that's about 11 hours. And this approach is really beneficial for people that are living with diabetes, trying to prevent diabetes, and even obesity and other cardiometabolic conditions like heart disease and things like that. I think restricting that window, again, we call that time restricted eating. It is not the same as intermittent fasting. And we've done a fasting episode in the past, so this is not the same thing. The concept of chrononutrition is not to go long periods of time without food, right? That's more the fasting approach. We know that those long periods of time can really disrupt the body's circadian rhythm. And there's different reasons why you may do that. That's not what we're talking about today. The time restricted eating is about maintaining the normal circadian rhythm, sort of the way your rhythm works throughout the course of the day. And when we think about it, cortisol actually ramps up in the morning. And then by late afternoon, early evening, it starts going down, right? And I like to think about eating in accordance with that in some ways. I like to eat in a way that is going to match my metabolism as well. And so that whole concept of eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper actually really aligns with that. We really want to avoid late night snacking because that late night snacking can really disrupt your metabolism.
Jackie, this is so funny. I just have to share it with you. I've been waiting. Once you said you wanted to do this, I've been waiting to share this with you. My circadian rhythm tells me to stop eating at 7 p.m., but my refrigerator tells me to come hither at 11 p.m.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. That is so cute. But it's so true though, isn't it, Saren? It's
Well,
so true.
every time at night, because I love snacking late. It is my favorite thing to do. Mark goes to sleep. I have a field day. So every time now, when I hear that my stomach going or my brain, go to the kitchen, I'm going to hear that joke. Come hither, Saren, come hither. And it's going to stop me from doing it now because that's so funny.
That is so funny. And I've actually talked to individuals when I work with them privately, and they've said the cookies were calling me from the kitchen. I'm like, were they really calling you? What were they saying? Eat me, come in and eat me, right? I mean, it's sometimes we give so much power to food, right? But that late night snacking really does disrupt your circadian rhythm, and it changes the way our hormones respond in the body. It can impact our metabolic function in the body. And we really want to try to avoid that if possible. I want you to think of it almost like a chain reaction, right? If you're eating foods that are late in the evening that potentially will impact your blood sugar. I mean, I like to think of that 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. period of time at night as that rest and digest period of time. And if you are eating late at night and your body has to process and break down all those foods between 11 and 3, it's not doing what it needs to do, right? So not only are you not eating in accordance with your circadian rhythm, but you're disrupting that rest and digest period, which is so important for immune health and overall wellness.
So we're all going on food curfew. This is basically what this whole episode is about. Jackie's putting us on a food curfew.
Love the way you word things. And I think I'm going to use that, Saranne. And so you're all on a food curfew, right? So
Yeah.
there there are simple ways that we can actually align our meals with our circadian rhythm, right? So sometimes you have to eat late at night. So I'm not saying you never do that, but maybe make it a smaller portion if you can. The other really important priority is how you're sleeping, making your sleep cycle or your sleep hygiene a priority. Have a regular bedtime. I am lights out at 10 o'clock. We talked about this, I think, in the social jet lag episode. Even if it's 10 o'clock and I'm watching a show, my husband will look over and be like, oh, she's asleep, right? Because 10 o'clock is when I go to bed. And I'm always up before 6, right? So I really do get a nice window of time. But you really want to aim for, getting a good night's rest. And so if you're sleeping from, say, 10 o'clock until 6 a.m., you want to aim for breakfast an hour or so after you wake up. So if you're awake at 6, you probably want to have breakfast around 7, which is what I'm doing with my routine now. But the goal is to really try to avoid eating late at night if you can. Have a good sleep routine, and think about the highest quality nutrients if you get stuck in your. I mean, like my husband flew in on a late flight last night, and he didn't get back to the house until 9 o'clock, and he was hungry. If he were to reach for like a carbohydrate rich food or a high fat food, that's not going to bode well for him. It's probably going to impact his sleep. But if he chooses a lean protein, like a piece of chicken, which is what he did, and maybe some vegetables, that lean protein is going to give him some amino acids, which potentially could help with sleep, right? The tryptophan. We all know that when we eat tryptophan rich foods, that makes us sleepy, right? Tryptophan's found in turkey and shrimp and tamari, things along that line.
Well, just by knowing you and learning from you, you stopped me eating chocolate at night. So I just want to shout out to people who are drinking caffeine or eating caffeinated desserts. We have to watch that because it was Jackie who was like, Saranne, you're never going to fall asleep if you're eating 100% dark chocolate late at night. So you got to just put that in earlier in the day. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I really did hear a funny joke that said, I'm on a light diet. I eat by daylight, moonlight, and sometimes by the refrigerator light.
Oh my gosh, if you that's so funny and so cute and it's so true. And also I feel bad now because I think everyone's going to be mad at me about the no chocolate at night. Occasionally it's okay, but the caffeine and the sugar are going to be things that will definitely impair sleep, right? So, I think the goal with eating in accordance to your circadian rhythm is that whole, if you're gonna snack late at night, if you have to, don't do it often, but grab something protein rich. Don't grab something sugary and carbohydrate rich. And then really do your best to keep your eating window shorter. And I don't know why I love it. This will be the third time I've said it, but eating breakfast like a king and lunch like a prince and dinner like a pauper, I think is a good visual, right? If you're having your biggest meal at dinner, that's potentially going against your circadian rhythm. It may interfere with your rest and digest period of time that you're really hoping to recover your body and help with immune support and all of that. Maybe flip those things around. Have yourself a little bit of a bigger breakfast and go for the smaller dinner. And this is challenging, right? Because this is a habit change. If you're used to a very big meal at dinner, then maybe we need to think more about what our habits are. And we've done that habit stacking episode, which is really fun and helpful for behavior change, I think.
Two things came to mind. One is that I was told once if I have to snack later to take an apple and put some seed butter on it, because that would be a really healthy, fulfilling snack that would not get me on the carbohydrate train with salt and then something sweet and then salt and then something sweet, which is so much fun, but not what you want to do at night. What do you think about that, Jack?
Well, I love the idea of, an apple and peanut butter because you're combining a fat, a fiber, and a protein, which is not going to not spike your blood sugar. I think an apple too close to bed may impede your sleep just a little bit. So I would actually go for a handful of pumpkin seeds if you have to, right? Like the goal is to avoid eating before bed. I would say at least 3 hours before bed, right? We want to give our body time to digest. We want to align our eating with our circadian rhythm. You could do a handful of pumpkin seeds, a couple ounces of chicken if you needed to. I was a late night snacker. I feel like I feel like I could say I'm a recovering late night snacker. I loved it. And you know why? I loved it because my days were so stressful and I would get to the end of the day and I was tired and I just wanted to sit and turn on a TV show and snack. And, let's face it, eating's fun.
I'm also thinking about people who have business meetings because so much of business is going out to these big late night dinners and there's alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering for people who are working, could you switch the culture and have breakfast and lunch meetings and then just preserve dinner for yourself to come down, relax and not have these big late night meals? It's just something to think about, especially if you're juggling chemotherapy also and cancer treatments. Could you schedule your day better so that you could really have these bigger meals? Mm.
I love that, Sarah. I love walking meetings. I do that all the time. So someone will say, Hey, I've got, I want to talk to you about this plan, maybe a speaking engagement or something. I'm like, let's go for a walk. Right now we've got like 3 feet of snow, on the ground. No one
Let's
really
go
wants.
shovel. Let's have a meeting
Let's go
while we're
shopping.
shoveling.
Let's go
No,
walking. A shovel meeting.
it's a shovel meeting, Jackie.
No, wait, sledding.
A sledding meeting. You'd be like, hey, psh, person goes down. I don't know. I'm still stuck on my light joke about
Yeah.
daylight, moonlight, and the refrigerator light. See, I'm going to hear that every time I open the refrigerator late at night, and you're going to be in my ear. Don't do it, Sarah. Don't do it. Go for the pumpkin seeds.
Well, we
Anyway,
could have we could have somebody listen to our sleep podcast because one of the things we talked about was that lighting and how it activates the pineal gland in the brain. And when you activate that gland, that shuts down melatonin production, which makes it that you're not going to sleep quite as well, right? Everything's connected, Sarah. And somebody could listen to all our podcasts and realize that, oh my gosh, every system, everything I'm learning, everything is connected, right? So that light at night is not helping you eat with your circadian rhythm, and it's definitely not helping with digestion, and it's impeding your sleep, right? So it's all connected.
so we're all going on a food curfew. Jackie did mention pumpkin seeds for anybody who's listened to the over 400 episodes and the over 120 with Jackie. She mentioned pumpkin seeds. She has to get it in on every episode. And we love you, Jacqui Bryan. Thank you so much for coming and letting me tell my corny jokes about metabolism and circadian rhythms. Who else am I going to tell them to? You and I just geek out about this stuff.
They're the best. They're just the best, Sarah. Thank you.
Have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you loved today's episode, then tell the world. Why? Because Beating Cancer Daily is a listener and donor supported experience. So the more people you tell and the more people that join us, the more robust and interesting programs our nonprofit, the Comedy Cures Foundation, can bring to you throughout the year. So if you have some extra change, I'd love you to go to comedycures.org and make a donation today of whatever level is comfortable for you. And it will be tax deductible to the extent allowed by law, because Comedy Cures is a nonprofit 501c3 organization founded from my chemo chair, April 1999, and we've been going strong ever since. So please consider making a donation today and help our community and this podcast thrive. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to read the disclaimer. Beating Cancer Daily and the membership circle are not in lieu of medical advice or treatment. They are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your healthcare team to review your best strategy. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.